Dirty. Okay, it's recording. Sorry, I'm trying to deal with this fucking rain issue. Not fuck the microphone up. Okay. Recording looks good to me. Alright, hopefully you can hear me appropriately. Alright, I'm gonna get right to it, because it's raining. Good morning. This is everybody. We're gonna do a reading. I'm gonna do a reading in a little while. It's raining. It's the solstice. Shortest day of the year. Fucking cloudy and rainy. This has been quite a weather scenario. Anyway, so happy shortest day of the year. Things get different. Very much looking forward to 6 months from now. That will be magnificent. Things change. Things change. Environments change. Don't encumber yourself with being upset at things you can't change, like the weather. So politicians, you climate changians, you fucked it up to begin with. Don't think that you're going to be able to successfully change it. Is this recording? I can't see. Okay, there we go. I just need to see that. This incessant red flashing keeps me satisfied for some reason. Alright. So that's sort of a restatement of the last one, or an extrapolation of the last one. And this library book is going to get all fucking wet. That's what's going to happen. So more Jesus via our prophet Leo Tolstoy. The birth of Jesus Christ. Oh, it's Christmas based too. Excellent. The birth of Jesus Christ happened like this. His mother, Mary, was engaged to Joseph. But before they began to live as husband and wife, it happened that Mary became pregnant. This Joseph was a good man and did not want to disgrace Mary. He took her as his wife and had no relations with her until she gave birth to her first son and named him Jesus. And the boy grew up and became a young man, and he was intelligent beyond his years. Jesus was already 12 years old when, once, Mary and Joseph went to Jerusalem for a holiday and took the boy with them. The holiday passed, and they departed for home, having forgotten the boy, you defunct parents. Then they remembered him, and thought that he must have run off with the other boys, so they asked about him along the road. The boy was nowhere to be found, and so they returned to Jerusalem after him, and after 3 days... Sorry, that sounded close. I think I need a knife. I thought I was going to get attacked by coyotes last night in the middle of the night. And a ghost. It was really weird. This solstice is a little crazy energy. Anyway, so they're wandering around Jerusalem for 3 days looking for their son. They found him in a church where he sat with the teachers, asking them things and listening. And everyone was amazed at his intelligence. His mother saw him and said, "What have you done to us? Your father and I are full of grief, searching for you." And he said to them, "Where did you look for me? Don't you know that you should look for the son in the house of his father?" And they did not understand his words. They did not understand who it was that he called his father. After that, Jesus lived with his mother and obeyed her in everything. And he developed in both age and knowledge. And everyone thought that Jesus was the son of Joseph. And so he lived until he was 30 years old. Fast forward, at that time, when he was 30 years old, at that time the prophet John made himself known in Judea. John lived in the Judean steppes. Steppes, I think, means hills. It's German. On the Jordan. John's clothing was made of camel hair and was tied with a belt, and he subsisted on tree bark and wild plants, which sounds gross. He challenged the people to change their lives in order to free themselves of error. And as a sign of this life change, he bathed the people in the river Jordan. He said, "A voice is calling to you. Pave God's..." Oh, where is my voice? Where is my mind? He said, "A voice is calling to you. Pave God's path in the wilderness. Make the path that leads to him level. Make all things even, that there be no dips and no rises, nothing high and nothing low. Then God will be within you, and everyone will find their own salvation." And the people asked him, "What should we do?" Yes, I just told you. People. What should we do? He answered, "Whoever has 2 articles of clothing, give them to him who has none. And whoever has food, give it to him who has none." I was out of money recently. Very much out of money. And I walked by this nice homeless guy, and he just went I don't know, whatever. His stories were just ridiculous. But he was like, do you have any change? And I said, no, I'm really poor right now. And not because of this, just like, and then I just naturally, like, I felt what I was feeling for me. And then giving it to him, it was like, whatever, like, I have a home. Like, I have shelter. Like I have people who are, you know, who even if you feel like you can't give, giving is amazing. And the tax collectors, oh fuck, here we go. And the tax collectors came to him and asked, what should we do? He said to them, do not collect more than you are required to. And the soldiers said, how should we behave? He said, do not offend anyone, do not cheat, be content with what you have been granted. And the citizens of Jerusalem came to him. Oh wow, this guy's lucky. Did he get fucked a lot? Eating his tree bark? And the citizens of Jerusalem came to him, as did all the Jews in the vicinity of Jordan. And they repented to him for their evil actions. Good. And as a sign of their change of life, he bathed them in the river Jordan. And the Orthodox and old believers also came to John, but secretly. He detected their presence and said, you snake-like breed. Apparently, oh my god, I'm so hungry. You snake-like breed, apparently you have already sensed that it is impossible to withstand God's will. So then, alter your thinking and change your faith. And if you want to change your faith, then let it be visible by your fruits that you have altered your thinking. The axe has already been placed near the tree. If the tree produces bad fruit, it is cut down and thrown into the fire. As a sign of the change in your faith, I purify you with water, but after this bathing, you must still be purified with the Spirit. The Spirit will purify you like the master purifies his threshing floor. He gathers the wheat and burns the chaff. I have no idea what I'm saying. There's no sign. Jesus came from Galilee to Jordan in order to be bathed by John, and he was bathed and listened to John's sermon. And from Jordan, he went into the desert. Oh, man, we skipped all this stuff. And from Jordan, he went into the desert, where he came to know the power of the Spirit. Jesus spent 40 days and 40 nights in the desert with no drink and no food. And the voice of the flesh said to him, if you were the Son of the Almighty God, then you could, of your own will, make bread from these rocks. But you cannot do that. So it seems that you are not the Son of God. But Jesus said to himself, if I cannot turn rocks into bread, then that means that I am not the son of the God of the flesh, but the son of the God of the Spirit. I live not on bread, but on spirit. And my spirit can disregard the flesh. But all the same, hunger tormented him, and the voice of the flesh, oh, that's sexy. The voice of the flesh spoke to him more. If you live on spirit and can disregard the flesh, then you can renounce the flesh and your spirit will remain living. And he imagined that he stood on the roof of the temple, and the voice of the flesh said to him, if you are the Son of God, then when you throw yourself from the temple, you will not be killed. But an unseen power will preserve you, support you, and deliver you from any evil. But Jesus says to himself, I can disregard the flesh, but I cannot renounce it entirely, because I was born into the flesh by the Spirit. Such was the will of the Father of my Spirit. Such was the will of the Father of my Spirit, okay, and I cannot oppose him. Then the voice of the flesh, wow, but like, don't we all have, that's that, like, that's that voice in your fucking head, and you're like, shut up. Or like the voice of the flesh is like when, I don't know, I hate that like when I see an attractive woman, I naturally sort of like size her body up as if I get to ravish her. Like I would never rape. We've gone over this. I would never take anything without consent. And frankly, like, nobody's ever interested in me. But that's not the point. It's like that voice of the flesh that we're speaking of here. It's like, you ain't got no control over that. Then the voice of the flesh said to him, if you cannot oppose your Father in the matter of throwing yourself off the temple and renouncing the flesh, then you also cannot oppose your Father in the matter of going hungry when you want to eat. You should not disregard the lusts of the flesh. They have been placed in you, and you should serve them. That's like go buy a pack of cigarettes. Like, I know you could, but like, whatever. And you're like, no, I refuse. And like, you're driving to the convenience store, like, or walking to the convenience store, and you're still like, in denial that you're refusing. And all the kingdoms of the earth and all of its people and all the king's men couldn't put something together again. Were presented to Jesus, how they live and labor for the flesh, expecting from it some reward. And the voice of the flesh said to him, there, you see, they work for me, and I give them everything that they want. If you work for me, you will get that as well. But Jesus said to himself, my Father is not flesh, but spirit. I live by it. I sense it myself at all times. I sense it in myself at all times. I respect it alone and work for it alone, and I expect rewards from it alone. Then the temptation ceased, and Jesus came to know the power of the Spirit. The temptations cease. They can cease. They will cease. Mind over matter. Spirit over flesh. Optimism over pessimism. Why am I doing this? Okay. All right, page after. Having come to know the power of the Spirit, Jesus left the desert, great, and came to John again, and stayed with him. And laid with him, maybe. Who's to say? And when the time came for Jesus to leave John, John said of him, now that is the Savior of people. At these words from John, two of John's students left their former teacher and followed after Jesus. Jesus saw that they were following him, stopped, and said to them, what do you need? They said to him, teacher, we want to be with you and learn your teachings. He said, then come with me and I'll tell you everything. They set off with him and remained with him, listening to him until the 10th hour. Nothing to learn. Why is the 10th hour relevant? One of these students was called Andrew. Andrew had a brother, Simon. Oh God, here we go. Somebody betrothed God, somebody. Having listened to Jesus, Andrew went to his brother Simon and said to him, we have found the one that the prophets and Moses wrote about, the one who will proclaim our salvation for us. Andrew took Simon with him and brought him along to Jesus. Jesus named this brother of Andrew's Peter, which means rock, and both of these brothers, okay, whatever name, became students of Jesus. This is the Blue Brothers. Then, just as they entered into Galilee, Jesus met Philip and called for him to come along. Philip was from Bethsaida, the same village as Peter and Andrew. I didn't care. When Philip recognized Jesus, okay, maybe this is good, he went and sought out his brother Nathanael and said to him, we have found God's chosen one, about whom the prophets and Moses wrote. It is Jesus, the son of Joseph, from Nazareth. Wow. Calm down your fucking, profiteering. I didn't know that I did that. Nathanael, I don't know who we are talking about anymore. Nathanael was amazed by this, that the one the prophets had written about was from a neighboring village, and he said, strange that this messenger of God is from Nazareth. How strange. Philip said, come with me, you will see and hear for yourself. Nathanael agreed and went with his brother and met with Jesus, and when he had heard him out, he said to Jesus, yes, now I see that it is true, that you are the Son of God and the King of Israel. Jesus said to him, you must learn what is even more important than that. From now on, you will learn that heaven is open and that people can communicate with the powers of heaven. From now on, God will no longer be separated from his people. I'm going to repeat that. Jesus said, you must learn what is even more important than that. From now on, you will learn that heaven is open and that people can communicate with the powers of heaven. From now on, God will no longer be separated from his people. And Jesus returned to his place of birth in Nazareth. And on the holy day he went, as always, to the meeting and began to read. He was given the book of Isaiah. He opened it and read what was written in the book. The Spirit of the Lord is within me. He chose me to proclaim goodness to the unhappy and the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom to the bound, light to the blind, and salvation and rest to the exhausted, to announce to all that this is the time of God's mercy. He closed the book, gave it to the attendant, and sat down, and everyone waited to hear what he would say. And he said, now this verse has been fulfilled before your eyes. Okay, on with that. Let's go to Jesus Christ Superstar. Every time I look at you, I don't understand how you let the things fulfill me. Don't buy into your own Messiah complex. So maybe that's a problem. But this whole heaven is open thing, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Because people are saying to me, people are like, oh God, I just hate all organized religions. That's why I'm an atheist. Oh! This is my response to that. My feet are cold. My feet are cold. Yeah, heaven is open. Heaven is open. There's that movie that came out that I didn't see called Heaven is for Real. Okay, maybe. I'm never going to watch it. But I can't I'm not disproving your theory. Yeah, so when you... Yeah, just listen to make sure you know when the voice of the flesh is talking to you. It's a very distinct voice. It's a very distinct voice. Hear it, heed it, respect it, but know that you can triumph over it. And have a wicked solstice, everybody. See you soon.